I'm Linda Deir, and this is...
This is Ray Holly. This is my cameo appearance.
All right, you guys. All right, for those of you who thought, what would it be like to have a personal angel coaching session with me? Here's your chance to watch it live. Using my guided journey, the companion journal to my award-winning autobiography, Guided, I take tonight's coaching client back to a time in their life when they became stuck and lost their connection to their spirit guides and angels. With the help of their guides, we will uncover the truth and release the blocks that have kept them frozen in time, so they can finally live the life they originally came here to experience. And do we have...
It's coming in now.
Kathy. All right, we have Kathy with us tonight, who has been working on connecting with her own spirit guides and angels. So Kathy, why do you want to learn to do this? And how long have you been working on learning how to do this?
So I've been on my spiritual journey for about 3 years. I've been working with the talking board for about a year now. Yes. And have made a lot of progress. And I just want to keep progressing.
Okay, good, Kathy. Good. And how have you been doing in comparison to, like, before you met me 2 years ago, 3 years ago? How well have you been progressing since you've met me?
I feel like I've won the lottery.
What is it that you reached for that I produced, that I put out there?
The first thing was your audiobook, Guided, which led me to your Facebook page, and then to the Universal Channel, which led me to getting the board myself.
Right.
And the group, and then starting to practice with Veronica was the first one that I practiced with, and it's just been unbelievable. Unbelievable. I feel so blessed. I know that your book was put in my path to get me here.
Right, no question about it. Right, that was the first step in the process.
Yes.
Right. Well, that's how most people find me. And how do you see my guided journey helping you remember and reconnect with your spirit guides and angels? Because that's what we're working with tonight, is helping you in one of the chapters in part 2 where you take the journey. So how do you hope that the journal, My Guided Journey, will help you make that connection even stronger?
I think that it's dislodging stuck information.
Right.
To help me maybe get rid of some blocked energy and just jog my memory so that I can progress further with the guides.
Kathy, that was so well said. That's exactly what this journal is designed to do, is to unlock what's been buried back there in your younger life, you know, that got locked up, you were interfered with, that, you know, kept you stuck back in that energy and moving through it. That's what this is all about. So, and okay, so Kathy, in My Guided Journey, part 2, what chapter do you want to work on tonight?
My guides have said that I need to work on chapter 7.
Chapter 7, okay. Let me get to that chapter. All right. We always showed you new things. That's the guides talking to Kathy. That's the guides reminding her that they were there, and that they were always, in being there, they were always presenting her with new events, with showing her new things that captured her curiosity and took her on her way. Now, it's always your choice to move that way. You can always say, well, I'm not ready to do it right now. You know, it doesn't feel right, or I'll get around to it later. But this is the chapter that Kathy needs some insight about. And Ray, honey bunny, you want to read?
I can read, yep.
Chapter 7. These are the key points in chapter 7, okay? And Ray's going to read that before we get started. And go ahead, Ray.
Chapter 7. We always showed you new things. There was no separation between you and us.
It's this you want to read.
I know. Unlike those around you, you did not spend any time overthinking things. That's because you were too busy experimenting with them. Learning, like you did, was easy and fun. The natural flow that made learning on a higher level possible in the first place was now in jeopardy.
Right. Okay. So what that means, before Kathy talks about what she wrote, what that means is the natural flow that made learning on a higher level possible in the first place. All that learning you did as a little kid, okay? And how you just went with the flow and you went on your way and you just learned what they were showing you. You mostly went there. You mostly went ahead and moved that way. And you were just experimenting with everything. That is, until the people in this world started to interrupt that. And they started to ask you who you were talking to and wake up to this world and snap out of it and get it together over here, you know. So, Kathy, what did you write in part 7 about what you realized so far?
Well, this was something that I channeled, and I had a hard time understanding how it related to this chapter. But my guides assured me that this is the chapter that this goes with. But what happened is my mom and dad had taken my sisters and me to see a large cavern in a nearby town. And the cave had a large, really high bank overlooking, I don't know if it was a river or just a stream. It looked like a deep waterway. And I was around 6 years old when this happened. And I was trying to get around my sister so that I could get a better look. And I guess being just older than me, it annoyed her that I was in her way. And she gave me a push. And my guides told me that I almost died. That's how they started out. You almost died when you were 6. And then I asked them what they were talking about. But I have revisited this scene over and over throughout my lifetime and questioned how I kept from falling. Of course, it was my guides.
Right. That intervened.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you write in this part of the journal?
That's what I wrote. What happened.
Okay. Okay, so how did this freeze you up? What was the impact of that? Where something happened, whatever happened there, what does it feel like? What does you were about 6 or 7, or so we identified, you wrote down what this was, and you identified when and where this happened. It was at the edge of a cliff with your mom and dad and your one sibling, and you were about 6 years old. And so how did this make you feel, this incident?
I think it just really startled me and made me realize how dangerous that whole incident was. Of course, I was upset with my sister because she shoved me, but I know it impacted me greatly because I've revisited that scene many times over my lifetime.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to see it in a deeper way.
Okay.
How did it make you feel inside? Did it make you feel hurt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How come it? we really have to flesh this out. How come it made you feel hurt? What was that hurt?
I think it made me feel hurt because it made me feel like it was just really careless of my sister,
Right.
of putting me in jeopardy like that. And I know she didn't, I don't think she did it intentionally, but she just didn't think about how dangerous that was. And I think it just really hurt my soul.
I'm feeling that. And so it hurt you. I'm going to just say some things and just say yes or no, all right?
Okay.
It hurt you because it made you feel irrelevant.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And to feel irrelevant, like you didn't matter, is a scary feeling.
Yes.
Especially when you're young. You think, all of us think when we're really young that we're the center of the universe. We just do. We come in, we know that we're important. We know we're important because before we came here, we knew we were important. Our guidance that followed us here knows how important we are. So when people are careless with us in this life, especially when we're young, we're shocked that they don't see our value. Did you feel that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, so this is interesting, Kathy, because what happened in that moment is the fact that you felt that, you remembered how important you were. See, you remembered something. How could you know that?
Wow.
That's what I mean. You came in awake. You came in completely here. You were present. You were you, okay? And then as these little things showed up that showed you how careless this world is, it was disappointment. It was, you've got to be kidding me. You know, I'm loved where I come from, right? And then I experienced this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what really happened. And you were more awake than you realized. Do you realize that?
I do now.
Yeah. That's what was really going on. That's why you said it hurt your soul.
Yes.
Because I can't say anything more around that other than that, okay? We're all awake until something like that happens, and then we start shutting down. We start pulling back, and we say, you know, we can't take another disappointment like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's awful. Okay, then, now that you know how it really felt to its core, what did you realize from this moment, from what we've experienced so far in talking about this?
I realized I wasn't alone.
Right.
I realized that it wasn't my power that kept me from going over that cliff. I had help, angels, guides, whatever you want to call it.
The ones who did love you, the ones who knew how precious that you really were, while these humans were so careless. Go ahead.
I think I realized that they were always there. I always knew they were there. I always had this internal dialogue going on in my head, you know, a full-on conversation. As far back as I can remember, this dialogue was always going on in my head.
Right. That's the connection. That's the connection, everybody. What Kathy's talking about right here, you think, it feels like self-talk, though, sometimes, doesn't it, Kathy?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it feels like you, self-talk, it feels like you, because you're not disconnected. Kathy was connected still, all right? So there was no separation between her and those who came with her into this life, her spirit guides and angels. Go ahead, Kathy.
I think I realized that maybe this might have been an exit point that I could have had in my life, but I was left here for a bigger purpose that I'm just now beginning to learn or realize.
Right. And you know, every step of the way, Kathy, like what occurred in your life at that point, in that moment, was really important information for you to connect with. So you could, at this time in your life, as we move through it and we gather more information and we learn more about who we are, why we're here, and that we are not alone, okay? We do have help. And they're always with us if only we listen and we stay tuned into that. That you gather all this up so that when you work with other people, you're right there. You get it. You know it. You've lived it. You've done it. You're seasoned. You're connected. You know, there's no separation between you and them. Like there's no separation between me and you right now.
Right.
As we talk about it, because I really remember it. And when I feel someone talk about it, when I hear them talk about it, it's like I'm there with you. I can feel it because I feel the connection that you have, okay? It's more than just you and me, like people can see us right now. There's a whole collective of guidance and everything that's always with us, and especially right now. They like it when we talk about this stuff and share that information with others, all right? So that is true. You are definitely a healer, and you are definitely meant to help other people, and you're still moving that way. And that's what you realize from this. And you're sharper than you think you are. In fact, I want to say this. As you work in that, as you work in the direction that you're being guided to go by your guides, to follow through on this work that you intended to do before you came here, and your guides remember that, and that's why they guide you that way. They move you that way, all right? That the more that you do this and the closer you get to that point, the more fulfilled you're going to feel. You're not going to feel like you are missing anything. But it was through all those trials and tribulations and disappointments, that let you know about, the deficiencies in this world and why people feel the way they do. They have a right to feel like that, Yeah, we as humans can do better. So after all this, we talked about, now we're going to talk about the action that you intend to take. Now, I kind of suggested what's going to happen and where you're going to go with that. You tell me about that, about how you see yourself moving forward with this, as far as how it feels and what you intuit as far as guidance. Not your ego, not what your ego might want, but what the guidance feels like, where it's taking you.
Well, like you said, I'm a healer, but I feel like that I am being guided to heal more than physical. I am here to help heal the body, the mind, and the spirit. I'm here to help teach people how to get in touch with their guides and stay connected.
And your guides are going to pick it up from there, and they're going to talk to you about what you just said, about where they're guiding you to go, okay? And because of what you've realized, all right? And here they go.
Kathy, it's these types of occurrences in your life that bring your attention back to yourself and the present moment. It's these opportunities to learn that show up when you least expect them and are many times caused by someone that you are close to. Look back and see, did your relationship with your sister change after that event?
That's a question.
I think so. I think like Linda said, I felt devalued after that, like I didn't have any worth.
That is the deepest disappointment there could possibly be. I mean, does it feel like that to you, Kathy?
Yes. Yes, it does.
I know. Boy, does that one hit me, all right? That one, I totally connect with that. And, okay, let the guides continue to talk to her.
It's this emotion of disappointment that is the hardest to fathom, especially when it happens at that early age, because it can follow you throughout your life and lead to you not trusting others.
So tell me how that played out in your life, not trusting others.
I feel like that I wasn't as outgoing, and I know before that I never met a stranger. I just loved everybody. But I think I withdrew a little bit after that.
How do you react now when people push you, and not physically, but emotionally or psychologically?
Thankfully, I have learned to not really care what people think. What my guides think is much more important to me now. What people on the on the earthly plane think of me is really not that important to me anymore.
So do you think that you hit a rebellion where you just went?
Yeah, I feel like I did. I was always kind of the outsider. I had 3 sisters, and I was always the outsider in my family my entire life.
Mm-hmm. So these are the things. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just the black sheep. I was just different from everyone else. I didn't think like they did. I didn't act like they did. I didn't conform like they did.
And what was the benefit of that, of having that?
I feel like that they're still not awake, and I am.
That's right. Did you realize that as a kid?
I didn't. I just knew I was different from them. Didn't know why.
That's right. I didn't realize that either. I just realized I was different too. So I get you on that, all right? And you just had to move your own way and learn. You really learned about yourself without all that interference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you were really in a better spot than the other kids were.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have been a lot more confused. Most people are. They're not that awake when they're young. And when you're young and you wake up like that, okay, you realize things.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get bogged down with learning all the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
You have to unlearn when you get older. Although I will say, and I will speak about, I'll tell on myself, although I did have some hang-ups. I mean, I didn't know I was angry. I just didn't know that. And then when I finally worked through it by osmosis, I didn't even realize the guides were working me through my anger while all this other stuff was going on. And all of a sudden one day it was done, you know. But I did get angry from that early life, from all that pressure, you know.
Of course.
Couldn't stop them from doing that. So I did carry that anger. So there's always something, there's residue from that trauma, you know, like what
Mm-hmm.
you went through. And what this is all about, the journal, chapter 7 in My Guided Journey for you in your case, is what did that moment trigger in you that carried throughout your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kept picking the wrong people as far as marriage partners. Yeah, I couldn't stop myself. And I realized when I was 50, I said, or 51, I said, I'm no good at this. And that's when I handed it completely over to the guides, and I said, I'm done with this, and if I meet the right one, give me a sign, because I'm done doing it, right? Because I still don't know who that is. Yeah, did you see Ray do that? And so I'm still not sure what that is. But I guess I learned what I needed because I didn't have to go through it again, Kathy, So there's somewhere along your life, let's take a look at that for a minute. There's somewhere along your life that impact that happened from that one event that caused you to be cautious at the very least. Okay. Be careful. Okay. So how did you see that part, kind of the ripple effect moving through your life, and where did you see that show up?
I had low self-esteem. Most of my life, I had low self-esteem. I was an overachiever because I wanted to measure up. I didn't feel like I measured up to everybody else.
Right.
So I had low self-esteem most of my life.
Yeah, and I see that one point in time where you were not valued by the people here. All right, it goes, like you said, it goes right into your soul. All right. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel? How is your self-esteem doing now in your life?
So much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
And when did that change?
I think it started changing when I started my spiritual journey and just taking a lot of classes and just being around you guys and talking to my guides has been so huge.
It is. I mean, it is the biggest thing. It's been the biggest thing in my life. I don't know, and I've said, I wouldn't have made it without them. I wouldn't have wanted to,
Right.
Yeah, because we bring them in with us, you guys. Our guides follow us here because we have a pact, and we put this together, this life plan together. And our guides even looked at what we did and our plan and all the ambitious things we had in mind. And they've even, before we came into this life, they've even said things to us like, oh my God, are you sure you want to do this? You got so much on your plate here. Are you sure you can take this on? And we were, after many lifetimes of coming back here and reincarnating and living in, and doing this over and over, that we get to the point where we just go, yeah, I'm ready. I will do whatever it takes because I've got to get this done. I can't stand it anymore. So with that in mind, how does that feel to you, Kathy? Does it feel like maybe you, with your guides, when you put this plan together, this life, that you really loaded your plate up with a lot of stuff?
I think I did, but I know that I've learned a lot of the lessons that I came to learn this lifetime. I don't think I've learned them all yet, but I think I have accomplished a lot of them.
Yeah. And 3 years since you've been working on this, in this direction, you've come a long way. You've done a lot of waking up, all right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I want you to do before I miss this, I don't want to forget to tell you this, what we talked about, what we uncovered, what we, went into today, not just how it made you feel for a moment, but how it really made you feel, like what really happened there. You need to write that down in chapter 7.
Okay.
You've got to do that because, and yes. I know that this may not be enough area to write it all into, so just add some pages into your journal so that you have it all in one spot, because this is a gold mine. This is a gold mine. You know what that was. You know how it felt. And we didn't blame anybody, did we? We didn't blame anybody, because it's not about blaming anyone.
Right.
But it is about identifying it and knowing the difference, the fact that you are still connected to your source connected guides, your source connected angels, you were still connected, that you've seen how careless the people in this world, how flawed it really is,
Yeah.
And still signed up for this. Okay, so we're supposed to learn, not get so damaged that we don't learn. So you write it in there, and then as you move through it, you're going to see, after you move through all 18 chapters, all right, you're going to see the whole enchilada. You're going to see the whole looking under the hood. You're going to see the whole thing. It won't just be, well, it made me feel kind of like whatever, until we drilled into it tonight. You really get the juice out of it, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you get that deep into it and you remember it, and then you remember why it felt like you. It felt like self-talk. It felt like you because you were still connected, all right? And even though it felt like you knew there was more going on and you had help. And
Yes.
This is the part, the tender part, that real subtle part that makes all the difference in the world, in this life, all right? And in help and putting your story together and then helping others, because you really have that sensitivity built up. You know where those answers really reside, you know. So, Kathy, after doing this, I'm going to put up my hand, and these are your spirit guides and angels right here. And I want you to talk to them about what you just experienced in your session today.
I just want to thank them. I want to thank you guys for being with me. I know you were with me through my entire life. Thank you for saving my life when I was around 6. And thank you for continuing to guide me and being patient and waiting for me to realize your existence. And I hope you'll continue to guide me on the right path so that I can make a difference in other people's lives.
All right, Kathy. Now your spirit guides and angels are going to reply to what you just said and what they experienced from this session with you tonight. And here they go.
Kathy, what you experienced at 6 years old was a trigger of the most basic and fundamental fear that little children have, especially babies. They have 2 fears they bring with them. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Triggering this fear of falling in yourself at 6 years old allowed you to be more diligent about falling and the ability to pick yourself back up if you did fall. It's a characteristic you have carried with you throughout your life. It's one of those seminal moments that stay with you forever. And having it explained tonight, you now have a different perspective on what it is that actually happened.
Okay, let me ask you another question, Kathy. What is this thing about falling with you? Talk about how falling has been an issue in your life, or where you've been cautious in your life, or where you've been aware that you didn't want to fall, that you needed to be careful.
I think I exploited that because I think I overcame that fear early because I always climbed trees. I was always a tree climber. I was always up in the very top of the tree, as high as I could get. half of my life I spent in the tops of the trees. So I think that was I just realized that was the reason I was overcoming that fear of falling.
So when you first, let me ask you this, when you first started climbing trees, how was it before that incident or was it after?
It was after.
After. How long after?
Maybe a year.
A year. And the first time you climbed that tree, okay, a year later, after that incident, the first time you climbed a tree, what was that sensation? What did it feel like?
It was an adrenaline rush for me, but it was the cautiousness of don't go too high, and then pushing yourself, go just a little bit higher, just a little bit higher.
Okay, let's let the guys interject. At this point in her life, how were you interfacing with Kathy when she took that first climb?
It was a chance for you, Kathy, to prove to yourself just how far you could push yourself without fear.
Without fear. Okay. Wow, they stayed right on that. That's different. Okay. So you were working through the fear that 6-year-old incident, you know, what happened at that moment, that shock, that whole thing that went into your soul that you talked about. You were moving through it, Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And working you through your fear, you knew that was your fear, right?
I don't think I consciously knew that at the time, but I can see that now. I can see that was guidance helping me work through that.
They were working you through it. See how this works? This guidance, the way it comes through to work us through our shortcomings. It feels like us, but we know that we're being cautious. We know that we're not just going up the tree. We're taking the steps. Okay. When we feel that it's like a slow motion movie. When you feel yourself being moved that way, like pay attention, like you did. Okay. You know, be observant. Move with caution, but move. Okay. That's when we know we're really getting. It's like they're holding our arms up, like they're the wind under our wings, like they got us. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be paying attention, and then everything will be fine. You work through your fear without even having to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but still, there were some things, and we're not talking about them right now. They're not all coming to the surface in this short moment we have with you tonight. But there's still something that happened, and I can feel it. There's still something that happened when you were 6 years old with all that disappointment that hit you, that surprise that these people just didn't get it that here on the planet, all right? That you knew you were important, okay? And I'm not talking about an ego importance. I'm talking about you just knew you mattered. There's a reason you're here. They need to be careful with you, and they need to take care of this new person, you know? And they weren't getting it. Mm-hmm. That showed up later on in your life. Mm-hmm. That part where you just didn't seem to have the value, they didn't get it. The people in your life, as you moved through it and you went through all these different relationships, they still didn't get it. That part of you was so super sensitive from that moment in time at 6 years old. Heightened sensitivity. If they flubbed up or they weren't getting it, you'd be the first one to see it.
Yeah. Well, my baby sister was born the next year after that, and I felt even more of less value because she took the spotlight.
That's really interesting. Yeah. You start piecing it together. and see where how deep that lack of value you felt went into you. All right. And then as you got older, I want to keep moving that way, because it's that point in time that was a game changer in Kathy's life, in your life, that kept you from having a full experience, you know? It affected things. It impacted you. It caused you to be, at the very least, cautious of putting yourself in the hands of people that may not appreciate you.
Right.
You know, since you started this work, this awakening about 3 years ago, Kathy, the feeling of appreciation that comes through from guidance from those who came here with you that you're now tuned into and really reconnected to, is really what you've been looking for, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And if we could only take that awareness, that energy, and translate that into this world, people would wake up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you're on your way, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you. They tell me frequently, you are loved. You are important. I think I've probably still got some of that, releasing that low self-esteem today, because they tell me that so frequently.
Okay, that's really, you're loved and you are important. That's exactly what came through tonight about that 6-year-old incident. So, you know, Kathy, I take this stuff and from my own life and living it, is the things that were the hardest things, you know, the most disappointing things, the most hurtful things, I became a master at, because I learned it so well, right? It penetrated me so deeply, just like this penetrated you so deeply. There's so much value in that. You become an expert in that one area. Anyone comes to you with low self-esteem, they don't feel like they have value, you'd be the person for them to go to. You'd be the go-to person. Because you've lived it. You've suffered in it. You've experienced it. You've had it challenge you throughout your life. It's something that it was in your face, and it's not meant to hurt any of us. None of that is. It's meant to make us more sensitive and tuned into that so we can help other people work through it. And I always say that when you can't help yourself, or you feel like you're just not getting the whole answer, or you just need more information, help someone else. When you help someone else in the area that you need the help, it just all makes sense. You watch them walk through it. It's like the Mikey syndrome, you know? Mikey likes it. All right. So you see Mikey do it, you see them do it, and how they do it, and it never occurred to you that was there, or that this is a way to overcome it, or that was whatever it happens to be. A lot of times you didn't see it that way, but that person just woke up. They just set off all the light bulbs in you. And there you go. You help them, and when you were at a loss, at a total loss, you help them, and boom. It's just, you know, multi-fold coming back at you. So, yeah, and that's why you have this urge to help other people, this urge to do this work. That's why, Kathy, because you know what this is now, and you know you can help them, you know? It's way more than the money. I mean, if anybody thinks that anybody does this kind of work for the money, that's completely off track.
Yes, I agree.
It's way more important than that. Okay, Ray. So, all right. So every Wednesday here on my Facebook page, Linda Deir Author, at 6 p.m. Pacific time, watch another personal one-on-one coaching session with me, my coaching client, and their spirit guides and angels, using my latest book, My Guided Journey of Self-Discovery and Personal Transformation, will transition you back to your true self. In my True Life Story Guided, I take you on my guided journey so you can see what's possible when you take yours. Reconnecting with your spirit guides and angels. Guided triggers those early memories, aligning you with your own spirit guides and angels. preparing you for your own guided journey. So Kathy, it was our pleasure tonight.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh,
You guys are so awesome.
Yeah, and you learned a lot, didn't you, Kathy?
I did. I thought I had it all in the book, but no.
I know. And you know what it is? It's somebody there that's with you. Like, I mean, it's like your guides are right with you. And when I go like this and you remember they're there and all of a sudden you just start remembering and you feel good again, you remember your value and out it all comes. And it's not about being a victim or anything like that. But it is about identifying what it was that happened that caused you to have to look deeper and learn more than anybody else about that particular topic, which makes you the person you become so you can help others. Yeah. That's who you are.
Guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You guys are so awesome.
So are you, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right,
This is a
sweetheart.
great session.
Awesome, Kathy.
All right. You guys have a great night.
All right.
You too, honey.
Thanks.